Yeah, to start out, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your channel, or sorry, about your podcast and
Mr. John
authors
Wood,
on
tell
Wheels
us
channel?
about Author on Wheels.
Yeah.
Well, Author on Wheels was kind of a dream come true in a way. Back in 2017, I wrote a series of pretty successful cookbooks, and one of the cookbooks actually sparked the idea for my first part of my autobiography called A Fight to Survive. And I think I actually have the copy over here.
Yeah, let's
Yeah, I
see.
do. Yeah, hold on, let me pull it up here. Yeah, there it is. I can't really I've got it all on,
Yeah, it's okay.
but I'll send a better picture of it.
Nice.
Yeah, we'll stick it
This
up on
okay,
screen.
yeah, but the inspiration for that came from one of the cookbooks that I did, and the very first cookbook I ever wrote was called "To Die For Recipes as Told from the Wheelchair," and the title of my first book is called "As Told from the Wheelchair: A Fight to Survive."
Oh, very nice.
So I started writing that in December of 2017, and it took me 2.5 years to complete the whole manuscript, and then about another 6 months to a year to basically edit it and find a publisher and everything, because I edited the whole thing on my own. I didn't pay anybody to edit it. I did it myself. Those fees are just like extra crap that you have to deal with. And this would help for even you, David.
Yeah.
It's impressive.
Because,
So,
I mean,
I'm curious.
go ahead.
How did you cookbook? That's seems like an interesting jumping point. Do you have like a culinary background, or
I do not have a culinary background. This is the reason why I did the cookbook. I have a youth group that I attend on Wednesday nights, and I've been with them for almost 14 years. And we have monthly fun nights that each of us make or can make a dish, and we eat and then we go and play games, and it's just basically a night once a month to hang out. And they asked me to make a dish, so I went home and I said, do I want to make a pasta dish or pigs in a blanket? So, grappling with that decision, I made the pigs in a blanket for the church, and then I made the pasta dish, but I ate it the next day. So ever since then, I kept my recipes and I wrote them down, how much I used, what I used, and then all this. And I went onto this website called createmycookbook.com, and I just started manually inputting things. I designed a cover, and I wish I had the daggum cookbook on my desk with me, but it's probably buried underneath piles of crap. But
We'll
I wrote
slap
I
a
wrote the
picture of
first.
that too.
Yes, I'll get a post.
Yeah.
I'll get a picture of that for you. But I wrote the book, and I asked a couple of my friends, hey, do you have recipes that you want to put in this book I'm working for? Maybe for the church, yada yada yada. So by the time I knew it, people had been sending me recipes, and I had like almost 40. So I published the first cookbook. And then I kept going. I made a pasta cookbook. I made a sandwich book. I made a diabetic-friendly cookbook. I made a keto-friendly cookbook, and I don't even do keto.
Oh wow.
I'm working on one right now that's all air fryer recipes.
Wow.
So
no?
do you have like
those, yeah.
do you have an accessible kitchen, or is it just like a regular?
It's a normal kitchen. It's just everything's at a certain level where I can reach it. Like my air fryers are able to be reached normally. The only thing I don't use is my darn stove, because if I use the stove, so help me God, I will burn the house down. As I was writing the cookbooks, I was also getting ideas for my autobiography. But back to that, I published the autobiography on March 9th, 2020. So the 1-year anniversary of the day I became a published author with this book is coming up.
Nice.
And ever since then, I had the idea to write, because as I said earlier, I'm a very faithful person, or at least I try to be. So I wrote what I called a disability devotionals book. It's basically 10 chapters of me explaining my faith in various elaborate ways, and I published it, and it was available in December of last year.
Oh wow, you're already got a whole backlist.
So, like, how did you
But
get into your faith? Like, was it your family, or what started you on that route?
I've been going to church ever since I was raised Southern Baptist, and my dad took me to church when I was like 4, and then eventually I got to the point where, you know, I was old enough to make my own decisions. So at the age of 13, I converted from the Baptist to the Pentecostal faith, which is basically another form of Christianity.
Sure.
So I've been going to the Pentecostal church. We have a little tiny church in an area about 20 miles away from us, and I've been going there, and I'm one of their youth leaders now, and I've been there for almost 14 years. So those experiences that I got from my years in churches are what went into the book. And actually I have the copy of the second book right here, Disability Devotional. But that's kind of what sparked that one.
We've talked about things like if somebody wants to, you know, a stranger wants to pray for you. How do you feel about that?
I've had that happen to me. I was actually in a Walmart a while back, and I was coming out, and there was this person standing there, and, you know, I was completely alone. You know, my friend was waiting for me in the car, and so I was like, you know, I walked out, and there's this woman there, and she's like, hi, you know, I noticed you're in a wheelchair, and, you know, started talking to me, and was like, can I pray for you? And I'm like, you know, just to get it over with, I was like, okay, yeah. And so she's blabbering on, and, you know, blah, 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 and speaking in tongues, even. And believe me, I do that too, but just hearing this from another person kind of got me in a point where I'm like, and then, as she's finishing, I'm like, thank you very much. And then I sped to the truck. I'm like, I got in the truck, I closed the door, I told my friend, you don't know what the just happened here.
It's a weird feeling, isn't it? I mean, it's like, you know they mean well, but you don't really know how to
Exactly.
convey that you're not who they think you are, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I say I'm a faithful person, but we all have problems, we all have issues, we all have those moments where we want to snap each other's necks.
Yeah.
And how even though, you know, it can be well-intentioned, sometimes strangers can, I don't know, give way too much kindness all at once, and it's a bit, you know, overwhelming, like, to be on the receiving end of that. So I was going to say, I had another story, and Kishal was actually there. Like, we had just gotten out of school for winter or Christmas break, and several of us had gone out to dinner. Like, probably 10, 15 of us.
Yeah.
And, you know, we're getting ready to leave. We asked for the bill, and the waitress is like, oh, that gentleman at that table over there took care of it. He's like, and he also sent you over a dessert tray. We'll be getting that to you shortly.
Mind you, our table wasn't just like 2 or 3 people. It was like 10 or 12 people.
Like,
Oh my
Like,
gosh.
got a full dinner.
probably like half of us were wheelchair users. Half of us were not, but like, you know, and mind
Right.
you, it was not some diner. It was like a fancy Italian place. Like, our bill was probably $200. You know what I
Oh
mean?
my
Like,
god.
and it's like, how do you respond Just something like
I never
that.
heard this one.
Like, yes, it's coming from a good place. And I get that guy's like, you know, Merry Christmas and like the spirit of giving and all that. But sometimes, like, what do we do? Do we pay their bill? It's like, we better eat this whole fucking tray of cannolis, like.
For our viewers that want to be kind, we'd be more than happy to receive your money at any time.
Yeah, right?
You see,
No,
like,
but-
how does that differ? Like, how is the situation like that different from, like, say, having somebody confront you directly and asking you to
I
pray
don't.
for you or whatever?
I mean, I don't know. I think they fall in a similar sort of umbrella. I think. Like,
Bit more extreme, maybe, but
yeah,
I guess,
definitely
yeah.
a little bit more extreme. I mean, hey, you know, you're a good guy. Here's, you know, 10, 12 people not in wheelchairs. Here, let me pay your $300 Italian bill. Get the heck out of here. Take your cannolis.
yeah.
They're
I mean,
fantastic.
it's not as much of a scene, though. I mean, for what that's worth, I guess.
Yeah, but
It's not as direct of an encounter, I suppose.
I think it's like.
I think it just shows that, like, people, disability is new to a lot of people when they encounter it,
Mm-hmm.
and they don't know how to react to it. But I think people are just trying to figure out how to react to this situation that's new. And
Yeah, I mean,
maybe in a lot of cases they don't do it the right way, but I thought what I really liked about John's story is that he was respectful. Even though he's annoyed, he was respectful to that person, and they're not turned away from
yeah.
interacting with a person with a disability in the future.
Not to
As a
mention,
result.
Kushal, that when this happened, it was the butt crack of winter. And I'm just walking into Walmart I was just walking out of Walmart from getting a few things for work, and all of a sudden this happened, and I'm sitting there in 32-degree weather wearing a freaking polo shirt, and this woman wants to sit here and take her sweet time and thank everything, and thank you for what you've done, and bless his legs, and all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, it's
Bless his
freezing.
legs.
I'm about to get my pants, and you better get me the out of here. Like, holy heck.
And to the audiences of both the podcast and both our channel, the things we're saying, it's not. We might sound like jackasses saying things like this to people that are just trying to do something generous and very well intentioned, and that's not what we're trying to be. But another way to look at it is, when you've lived with a disability for your entire life, and it's become a natural part of who you are, in some ways, at least to us and probably others, to have this happen more than once, or to have this kind of stuff happen on a regular basis, it would be the same as somebody else going up to another person and asking if they can pray for them because that person is wearing glasses. If that puts it in a more clear light. Our
Yeah, I mean,
disabilities, to a
it's
large
like-
part, are things we don't really recognize that much anymore. They're things that we've kind of put to the back of our minds, and we're not upset
Are you
being
saying
reminded
people
by them, but
pray for John because he has glasses?
Good John gets
absolutely,
double.
that's actually the core of my point. But no, anyways, well-intentioned gestures are great, and we appreciate them, but this is just us trying to give you a perspective on what it can feel like to us sometimes.
Yeah.
That's all.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, there are a lot worse things a stranger can do than, you know, want to pray for you.